So here's a pictorial representation of how we've seen a lot of businesses operating. What you'll find is that people are applying a great deal of effort onto a very small area of leverage, supported by their business processes, in order to try and lift the rewards. Now, what are their rewards? Their rewards can be anything: promotions, sales, profit, financial, some recognition, satisfaction, whatever the goals might be. This is how we see most businesses trying to lift the load of their rewards. What we want to do is help these businesses by increasing the ability for them to apply a greater level of effort through more information, increased knowledge, better analysis, better reporting, and some great advice. And what we do in that instance is dramatically increase the amount of leverage that they have. It's compounding the efforts that they're applying to the leverage. Lifting the rewards and achieving the goal is far more achievable, but we go further than that. Next, we have our systems. We work on the business processes. We look at the systems, the procedures, the various levels of empowerment and management in the business, education of the staff, the morale, and the service levels. We look at all of these things and much, much more. And what we're looking to achieve is by changing this area here, this business process area, from this unbalanced scenario to this. Now you can see that from that to that, there's a great deal of increased leverage possible. We have not only balanced these things out, but we then strengthen them by making them a solid process in the business of systems and procedures. This gives us leverage, compounding results, a lot easier to achieve the rewards in your business and make those goals a lot more attainable. That's what we're about. Okay, g'day Steve. Thank you very much for sending that data down to me to have a look at. Very much appreciated. And hopefully you'll appreciate the results that we've been able to get out of that data for you. We'll go through two processes here. One is the visual representation of the data on the scatter graph that you would have seen when we presented it to John at Bowen. And then secondary to that, I'll provide you with a whole list of information relating to the data in terms of the numbers and where the opportunities lie for improving the profitability and sales of the business. Okay, so let's get into it. This table here is all of your SKUs broken down into the 9 categories that we would have previously described. AA, AB, AC, the B row, and then the C row. So what we've got here is a total of 13,761 SKUs. 2,227 of those are in CC, and so on through up to 1,324 of them in AA. So let's have a quick look at that information as it appears on the graph, and there it is. So just to go through it again quickly, we've got 2 axes that we're working on here. So on the left hand side from bottom to top, we've got the transaction counts. So low transactions along the bottom up through to the high transaction counts along the top. And from left to right, or right to left, we've got the stock on hand volume from low on the right hand side across to high on the left hand side. So these dots here would have a high stock on hand value and a high transaction count. These ones down here will have a high stock on hand value yet a low transaction count. Okay, and where we've put these bars here, this is 80% of your stock on hand volume. The middle section here is the next 15% of your stock on hand volume, and the last section is 5% of your stock on hand volume. Working the other way horizontally, this is your top 80% of your transaction count. The middle section is the next 15% of your total transaction count, and the bottom section is obviously the remaining 5% of your transaction count. And that gives us the 9 areas: AA, AB, AC, BA, BB, BC, CA, CB, and CC. Now, what do we do with all this information? All right, we break it up into, keeping in mind those 9 categories, we break it up into all these tables here that will paint a bit of a picture for us, and we'll go through this with some reasonable detail. So firstly, we've got the initial table that we looked at here, 13,761 SKUs, and they're broken up amongst those 9 categories in that fashion. Next to that is the same information presented as percentages. So 1,324 SKUs, or 10% of your SKUs, are in AA. 2,227 SKUs, or 16%, are in CC. The next one down is your stock on hand volume, all up 891,000, and by those same 9 categories, this is the percentages of the stock on hand, and you can see that across the bottom here you've got 38% of your stock on hand sitting in the CC row. Now the next one is the net present value of that stock on hand. So what I've done is I've looked at all of that data and I've applied a 2% per month holding cost to that original cost to revalue the stock, which is inclusive of the cost that you paid for it, plus all the holding costs and the rent and the insurance and the handling and everything else that you would have paid for it since you've had it, to give us a revaluation. So if you compare this table here with the table above, you can see how much extra the stock has cost overall, from 891 to 1,032,000. So for instance, CC has gone from 20,000 to 28,000. So in other words, that stock has cost us $8,500 to hang on to for whatever period of time that we've been holding it. And I've got every one of your products by date received and date sold and everything else. And again, that's broken down by the percentages shown over here. So you can see that, for instance, here we've gone from 29% to 32%, and overall it's risen in the CC row to 43%. Now the contribution of each of those categories to the overall sales is broken up in this table and as percentages in this table. So let's go back to the one above, where we're looking at 43% of the current stock on hand value is in the CC row. So 43% of your stock is contributing 4% to your annual sales and 3% to your annual profit. So you'd have to say that just that analysis there would indicate that there's a significant imbalance in the stock performance. We go over to the transaction counts. We've got transaction counts, total numbers, and then the transaction count by percentage. The profit erosion, which is based on this net present value by each category. The profit erosion is shown there, a total of $149,000 lost since we've been hanging on to it. And that profitability loss broken up into the percentages. Where are we losing the most? And as you can see there, 53% of the loss is coming from this category here. And when you add them all up, 75%. 75% of our loss is coming from row C. It's obviously where we need to pay the most attention initially. This is the average of your margins across all those 9 categories. 21%, 53%, 61%. We'll scroll down a bit more. And the last table I've created here is the average months in stock by the same 9 categories. And if you look at the CC row, an average of 12 months in stock, 13 months in stock, and 17 months in stock. Overall, your business has got an average of 9 months in stock. Now this is looking at every single item in your product file and how long it's been there. Okay, so you can see from that there's some significant imbalance in the business. What we've got is a lot of waste down here and a lot of opportunity to remove these products and bring them up into the higher level. Okay, so coming back to the graph, we can now start to look at some individual products on a one-to-one basis. And we might wonder, what is this product here? We click on the dot and we can see that this is one product that has a stock on hand value of $1,600. We received it in October 2012, so therefore based on the 2% per month we've lost so far $82 on that product. Hopefully we'll sell it soon. Click another one, and we've got 4 of these in stock. Notice the unit profit, negative $277. Had it in stock since August 2012. Transactions, 0. And it has lost us $108.98. So what more do we do with this information? Well, the next thing we can do is break it down by product group. We can break it down by when we last received it. So for instance, if I set some parameters on this to say, show us everything that's prior to the 31st of December 2011, so everything that we receipted over a year ago, the program will go through and automatically show us everything that you've got in the business that was receipted over a year ago. And there you have it. Now if we flick back over to the front, it'll give us the overview. It's 2,969 products that have been receipted over a year ago, again split up into the 9 categories, and again you can see where the major contributor is down the bottom here in the CC row. Further to that, we can then break it up by the product group. For instance, if we want product group 9, it'll show us everything that's in 9 that's over 12 months old, or whatever date that we set. So we can clear that back off again, and what we might do is just have a look at everything that hasn't sold. Let's say show us everything that hasn't sold for the last 12 months. What if we go back even further than that? What if we said show us everything that hasn't sold since December 2010? Let's see what that produces. And there you have it, as you'd expect. Transaction count right along the bottom. But look, it's getting up into the higher levels of the stock on hand value here. So these ones aren't so much of a worry, but these ones up this end, quite a worry. Let's have a look at the overview and see what it brings up. 1,594 products in that bottom row that haven't sold since December 2010. What are they worth? We'll flick back over to our table. Stock on hand value, $101,231 worth of stock that you've had sitting there. Reconfigured to give us a new stock on hand valuation, or the net present value of that stock, is $149,000. You've lost 50 odd grand by that stock just sitting there. Now we say, what's the point of this information? Well, there's a lot of point to it. We can then have a look at what specifically these products are and get them to print out a report of what these products are, what product groups they're in, and all the other information that you ended up sending to me. So we can provide that information to you. We can draw up a plan to work through this this stuff with you, Steve, and help you fix these problems in the business, but more importantly fix what caused them so that it doesn't happen again in the future. That's very, very important. It was interesting. I certainly found it interesting doing the analysis for you. It would be our pleasure to help you work through this scenario and recapture a lot of this this lost opportunity back into your business, and helping you create systems and processes that stop this from happening again in the future. Any questions, mate, of course, just send us an email or give us a call. I'm more than happy to help you out. But remember, our programs are designed to work over a period of time. where we help you stop this amount of loss happening in your business, and as you can see, it's well worth the money.